Hello everyone, welcome to Sunday Podcast. It is great that I, Rafi Ghani Razak, as a moderator in Sunday Podcast, will provide you with a rather interesting topic, and that is about online versus face-to-face communication. Well, we have a very exciting topic this time, so let's say hello to some of the speakers we will be talking on the podcast. There are Muhamad Hermansyah from IPB University, and Chhun Sovan and Chhun Chanmanin from PKIU Cambodia, who will certainly share their knowledge and experiences about online and face-to-face communication. As we know, communication is an important aspect of human life. Without communication, we will have difficulty coordinating in our professional life or daily life. However, we are currently faced with several obstacles, such as the ban on face-to-face meeting during the pandemic, forcing us to communicate online. From this phenomenon, we finally find a new habit by frequently interacting online instead of face-to-face communication. This new habit will certainly affect our communication pattern in the future. From this case, it becomes interesting to discuss topic of online versus face-to-face communication. So let's ask our first speaker, Herman, what do you think about this phenomenon, about online and face-to-face communication?
Okay, well, thank you, Rafi, for your time. As we know, that communication will always be an interesting topic because it's very relevant to our daily lives. So, to talk about communication, we need to review the definition of communication itself. Communication is sending and receiving information, can be one-on-one or between groups of people, and can be face-to-face or through communication devices, or we can call it online communication. Communication requires a sender, the person who initiates communication, and the receiver, the person who receives the message. So basically, the sender share or transfer their thoughts or encode the message. Then finally, the receiver must decode it or interpret the message. Then what is importance of communication itself and why do we communicate? Communication is all around us. From the moment we wake and switch on the radio, on the phone, read the newspaper, face the advertising boards on the way to work and listen to train announcement. During our working day, communication enables tasks to be completed diligently and ultimately makes us and the company more professional. In business, communication skills are highly valued. In our daily lives, communication helps us build relationships by allowing us to share our experiences and needs and helps us connect to others. It's the essence of life, allowing us to express feelings, pass the information, and also share thoughts. From what we discussed earlier, let's go into the core topic, online versus face-to-face communication. So what is the difference between online versus face-to-face communication? When we communicate with others, especially about ourselves, we tend to feel pressure to perform a particular version of ourselves. Especially in face-to-face communication, where feedback from the other person influence our behavior. Online communication, however, involves a number of differences from face-to-face communication. These involve factors like synchronicity of the conversation, verbal and non-verbal cues, appearance, and identification. Face-to-face interactions are predominantly synchronous, meaning they occur naturally. The listener has instantaneous, receive, and a quick response. Online communication can be synchronous with rapid-fire responses, but it also can be asynchronous. So there is the difference between online versus face-to-face communication. Maybe that's all from me, Rafi. Thank you.
Thank you, Herman, for that interesting point of view. I would agree that communication is very important and there are huge differences between online and face-to-face communication. It was interesting to hear what he said earlier about the difference between online and face-to-face communication, which is the subject of our discussion today. So let's move to another speaker, Chhun Sovan. So based on what Herman talked earlier about the difference between online and face-to-face communication, which communication patterns do you think should be implemented and why?
Thank you, Rafi, for opportunity. So basically about online and face-to-face communication are equally important for our daily life. But nowadays we have just gone through a pandemic phase where we are required to communicate online continuously. For myself, I prefer the online communication pattern because it suits my needs. In my opinion, some of the advantage of online communication include the ease of information exchange. The second is reduce social costs, but apart from those advantage, online communication also have drawback and which relate to online hierarchies and synchrony based. One of the reasons for the popularity of online communication it is the ability for cross-contain the time zone allow 24-hour global communication access. Economically, this is a great advantage of reducing the cost of travel and saving time. Online communication is available about synchronously, for example, through Instant and Messenger and chat. In delay from such as email, this means that it's already is available at all time, and communicator can attend to the message when it should them, reducing the need to schedule meeting. Then the second advantage is reduce the social cost. As outlined above, the reduction of the communication cost can be an advantage and disadvantage in online communication. Inability to observe the body language and physical expression and tone of voice of the another communicator may exist in focusing on the issues at hand. But it can also lead to misinterpretation, frustration, and mistrust. That's all for me, Rafi.
That's a very interesting point about online communication from Sovan. I will agree that I experienced the same thing when I learned during this pandemic. Our relationship with each other has changed as a result of the pandemic, and some of the advantage and disadvantage discussed by Sovan earlier have also been felt by us. After talking about Sovan's experience with online communication, let's move to Chanmanin. What are your thoughts about this topic?
Well, thank Rafi and Sovan for your time. It's very intensive review presentation by Herman and Sovan. Each Sovan prefer online communication, but for me, I prefer face-to-face communication because face-to-face communication allows efficiently intelligence of information from the speaker to the listener. It allows the listener not only hear information but observe carefully on the body language and how serious they are. Fancy expression and discussion, those visual cues generally improve the ability of two persons effectively in the communication with each other without miss a hand of the message. Helping create face-to-face communication, face-to-face meeting, and normally in helping create trust and understanding very well between the party communication. The channel of communication is particularly important business in the situation where important detail need to make. Meeting face-to-face is the same room, show commitment where dispelling any fear that may exist between the two parties. Face-to-face communication is also important. It helps company to boost productivity, sharing visual information during on a one-on-one meeting. Boardroom give attendant a visual opportunity to brainstorm over text without limitation and confer of time. This is opposed to channels of communication such as phone-based conversation or even video conferencing where meeting may be cut short as a way reducing communication cost. Face-to-face communication can be a disadvantage. A situation where a lot of organizations need a convoke leader from a branch. Finding common time for such leader to meet for face-to-face meeting may be challenging, especially due tight entirety that each leader or manager has. And then the cost of that going to fatality of meeting in a large organization with distance break can be quite high. During a face-to-face meeting would be required attendant to spend money flying from aboard one destination another to meeting, where the cost may not be biased or concern in a large organization, where significant revenue held 2 or 3 meetings for each every month would brought to logical nightmare that have increased operational costs. Well, that's all from me. Thank you, Rafi and Sovan, for the brief presentation, and also Hamad.
Thank you, Chanmanin, for your fairly comprehensive view. Indeed, each communication pattern has its advantage and disadvantage, and for personal comfort, whether or not a communication pattern is adjusted to the need of each individual. So let's review about our topic today. Communication is very important in everyday life as well as professional life. Communication is the sending and receiving of information and can be one-on-one or between group of people, and can be face-to-face or through communication devices. Online communication, however, involves several differences from face-to-face communication. It's like was often said that online communication has several advantages and disadvantages. The advantage are ease of information exchange and reduced social cues. Meanwhile, the problem is the existence of online hierarchies and cyber bias. And also, face-to-face communication has advantage and disadvantage as well. The advantage are that it allows reading of body language, can build trust and transparency, and enhance productivity. Meanwhile, the drawback are the difficulty of finding an appropriate time and the cost of facilitating a meeting. Well, it's exciting to have our conversation about online versus face-to-face communication from the perspective of our three speakers. A student will certainly have a lot of experience related to these two things. Very well, thanks to our three speakers, Muhamad Hermansyah, Chhun Sovan, and Chhun Chanmanin, who have shared their views on the topic of online versus face-to-face communication on this podcast. Hopefully, the knowledge and experience you share will be useful and add insight to our podcast listener wherever they are. I am Rafi Ghani Razak as the moderator. Thank you guys for your attention, and goodbye, and see you guys in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you, Rafi.
Thank you, Rafi.
Sovan, and
Thank you.
Manin.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.